Okay, so good afternoon, everyone. So just to introduce again myself, I am Eka, your pre-sales consultant from Trend Micro. I'm actually have with me as well as pre-sale consultant in Trend Micro, Tina. You've heard about her even on the last sessions. But this afternoon, I'll be talking about more on cloud security. So for this particular session, I'll be speaking to you about breaking the cloud silos with XDR. So technically, why we need to have security on cloud? So simply, just to share, simply because there are, when it comes to businesses, when they innovate how they use or they have digital transformation, they actually use or expand their borders when it comes to using infrastructures. So when they expand the borders when it comes to infrastructure, actually the threats will follow and actually attackers will follow them. So that's why we need to be able to have identify this kind of silos on our environment and be able to provide protection on these kinds of environment. Now, okay, as we start this session, let's pump it up with our demo environment. Sorry, my goal here is not to pump you with unlively. My goal here is not to make you sleepy during my session, but I will try. And to make this pump up, I will do a demo right now. So just to explain to you my demo. So I have here a demo environment. I have a cloud account that has launched or that has a easy to instance, a Kubernetes cluster. It has also an S3 bucket linked to this particular environment. And we also have the Lambda function that is able to automate all things here in my environment. Now, with the easy to instance and the Kubernetes cluster, we actually do a website to be able to use for this demo. So this particular setup is actually most common when it comes to cloud builders. Okay, so if you're ready, I will do my demo right now. Okay, let me go to my demo screen. So this is my environment. So this particular demo, I will be using first the EC2 instance or the cloud compute instance for this environment. So for this particular attack, I will do a reverse shell or what we call the log4j attack. So I think you are very particular when it comes to this attack. So I will do this attack using this particular login or this syntax on a login page of the website. Okay, let me launch first my console so that you can see that I will have an access to my console. So I'll now log in to this particular website. And as you can see here, a session has been created. And because of that session, I'm able to have an access to the server. So basically, I already have an access to the server wherein this particular website has been hosted. Okay, so now let me just do some stuff here. Let me just check who am I in this particular server. So am I? I'm actually a root account here. So when you say root, I actually have an access to everything. Now I would like to see more about who are other users that I can use to be able to do lateral movement on this environment. So as you can see in my screen, I probably have no other users that I can use to be able to jump from one instance to another. Maybe that this particular server is properly configured for that particular for this particular thing when it comes to our users. Now let me go back again to our website. So I can see on my website, I realized that there is a download link here. So basically, when it comes to this type of website, I'm able to have a link that is also linked to the back end of this server. So basically this one, if I hover on this one, you can see on the bottom of my screen here that it is linked to an S3 bucket. So once it is linked on a S3 bucket, it is able to have an access to the S3 bucket on the back end. So what can I do with this S3 bucket? Maybe I can upload a file here. So let me try to upload a file here in this instance. So I would like to see what are the particular S3 buckets that I have access, and I would like to have a copy of file going to this particular server. All right. So as you can see on my demo, the last syntax that I use is to copy a file, an ACAR file, with this particular file name. So once the user tries to download a file to this link, it will download my malicious file. So what I have done here is that, okay, I don't have access to the user, but I can actually use the access that this particular server have on the backend, so that I can launch actually an attack. Okay, so that's what happened to this one. So let me just go again to another demo. This time I will launch it on a Kubernetes cluster. So I shared with you earlier, on my environment, I have an EC2 instance and a Kubernetes cluster. Now I will run again the log4j attack, or the reverse shell. And you can see here again, I have an access again on this server. So now I can actually launch an attack. Let's say, for example, I would like to launch a crypto mining attack. So let me run again. Sorry. Let me run again a crypto mining attack. So I have here a rig. I have here a protocol that I use for this crypto mining attack. I actually have here the protocol, the Stratum TCP. This is something that we need to identify so that we are able to provide protection on this Kubernetes cluster, or this what we call the containers. So there. Okay, now let me go back to my slides. So I just show you that there are attacks on our security environment. So that's why we need to have protection for our environment. Now, this is the summary of an attack. So I'm a bad guy, for example. I'm the bad guy who tries to access a vulnerable server. Maybe at that time, the server is not vulnerable, but I try to exploit that. And I eventually have an access using a reverse shell. So I do a log4j attack. And eventually, I have an access to the EC2 instance. Now, I saw that there is a download link on that particular website, so that I use that to jump in from that machine going to the backend, or the S3 backend. Now I replace the file with a malware. So basically, from a legitimate file, I replace it with a malware. And from that website, the users or the visitors of that website will be able to download a malware. Okay, so what we call the watering hole attack. Actually, the website has been used to be able to distribute the attack, or the malware on its users. And then another attack that we have identified also is the crypto mining. So what we have shared here is that there is a vulnerable website again that is hosted on Kubernetes cluster. We try to download a crypto miner, and eventually, if that is successful, it will the cryptocurrency, or it will mine the cryptocurrency to the attacker's wallet. All right. So what we have noticed when it comes to our demo, first is that servers are vulnerable. So we have identified, yes, it can be properly configured, but there are also applications that might run on that server. So that's why I actually have the log4j, the reverse shell, to be able to penetrate that machine. So if you don't patch your system, if you don't patch your application, probably your server is vulnerable. Next is the IAM is too permissive, meaning the identity access management. So as you can see, yes, I don't have access on the users on that server, but I have an access on the backend. So I have an access to most of the S3 buckets on that backend. And that's why I'm able to do or host a malware. So I'm able to copy a malware on that machine. And from that website, the users or the visitors I actually can be able to download that malware. So what I'm sharing here is that with this demo, you're able to identify that this might happen when it comes to your cloud environment. Okay, but of course, you will ask me, Eka, is that really happening in real life, diba? So we have done our research internally so that we can identify if these things also is happening actually in the real life. So we have here the cloud security incidents in the past 12 months. So I will not go through all of this one. I would just like to add like three things about this one. The first one is that malware has moved laterally to cloud workloads. So as you can see, on my demo, I'm able to have an access to the S3 bucket, and I have copied the file to that S3 bucket. And I can actually do that to all the S3 buckets that they have. So basically, I can move laterally on their workloads. Second, you can see all on the port or the 24% here is that there is a 0-day exploits that took advantage of new and previously unknown vulnerabilities. That is the first thing that we did, right? So particularly the website might or the server might be configured properly, but the applications running on that server might have a vulnerability. So you need to patch it. So that's why this is something that we see also on cloud security incidents. And third, of course, we have the 23% here, or the fifth one, right? The misuse of privileged accounts, secrets, or access keys via stolen credentials. So I can see on the second attack, I'm not able to have an access to other compute systems or other EC2 instances, but I have an access on the backend, which is the S3 bucket. So because of these things, so we note that we have found out that there are this so many incidences that is happening on cloud security. So and these particular incidences are very common when it comes to cloud customers. If you ask them, these are the things that they are actually um, seeing on their environment. Okay. Okay. So let me just let me just give you some charts here so that we can identify and relate to what I'm sharing with you when it comes to cloud security. So as you can see here, 33% or third of the misconfigurations are actually blamed on flawed or the lack of internal guidance. When it comes to environment or when it comes to organizations, they actually would like to um, have seen what they are using on their environment. So when they are using things on their environment, let's say there are organizations that is building applications on a super fast pace. And of course, the developers would do their things in an agile approach. So they are very fast as well. And when it comes to building the environment, it's not like they would like to be in trouble, right? But they would like to do things in a faster approach. So that's why they forget some things. Even as like, right, when we do things, sometimes we forget some stuffs. And most of the time, when it comes to cloud environment, we are actually forgetting some security stuff. So that's actually a problem when it comes to organization. So because of that, customers now would like to do things right when it comes to their environment. They would like to identify, is there a lack of internal guidance in my team, or I have an internal guidance, but there is a flaw in my internal guidance. So I need to identify what is happening on my environment so that I am able to provide a right things and a right tool on my environment. Okay. Now, sorry. Now, another thing when it comes to misconfiguration. So there are results on misconfiguration on our environment. So, and well, the 40% here is what most of us scares us the most. Why? Because there is number one is the unauthorized access to application and data. So if you look at breaches on the past, particularly it may be here in the Philippines or globally, if you've seen the breaches on the past, you can see that extraction of data is not actually because the attackers are good when it comes to launching an attack. It is actually because there are misconfigurations on systems, just like what I have showed you on during my demo. So not because I'm good when it comes to attacking that particular server, but actually there is a misconfiguration on the system. So that's why it is uh, it is very particular that we provide protection for this unauthorized access. Second is we have an introduction of malware. Probably they say that why would you like to have a malicious file on your S3 bucket? Probably you will not, but eventually if there is an attacker that would upload a file on that machine, it will actually make your website uh, be able to do watering hole attack, or what we call distribute the malwares that they have. So just make sure when it comes to cloud environment, you are not a source of a malware. And lastly, of course, during the demo, I also share with you the cryptojacking or the cryptocurrency attack or the crypto mining attack, sorry. So there is an introduction of cryptojacking malware to mine cryptocurrency. So there are a lot of things that may happen if you don't actually configure our cloud environment properly. And most of these things can actually be fixed automatically. You can do it automatically if you have the right tools. Now, when it comes to organizations, you need to ask yourself, can we afford the results of this organization? Do we have systems to be able to identify it? Do we have tools to be able to identify that? So you need to ask yourself, am I going to find some tools so that it can be a help for me on my cloud environment? Okay. So another thing when it comes to cloud security is that prevention is one thing or protection is one thing, but maintaining it is another thing. So that's why you need to be able to have a tools to be able to provide your visibility. So you can see here 60% of um, 60% says that insufficient visibility to security or compliance is one of their top challenges. So if you don't have tools that will be able to provide you visibility, you can actually cannot protect what you have in your environment. So it is very good that you have an inventory of what you use, and actually it can help as well if you have tools to be able to identify what are you using on your environment. So because of this one, visibility is number one when it comes to security. Actually, if you will ask other security vendors, they will tell you that visibility is always a key. You cannot protect what you cannot see. That's why Trend might also have different tools to provide you visibility. May it be on premise, may it be on cloud. So on premise, we have our Deep Discovery. On cloud, we have our Vision One and also our cloud. So there are so many problems that we need to think about. So as you can see on my demo, as you can see on the results of misconfiguration and the top incidences. So how can we resolve all these things? Organization actually what we call the cloud security strategies and control. So number one is they actually do securing the hybrid infrastructure. So if you already have infrastructures on your on-premise, if you have infrastructures on your cloud, you need to secure all of those things first, okay? And then eventually, if you move on cloud, let's say for example, you are now building an applications, you actually have two groups in your environment. You have the security team, and you also have the builders or developers. But this particular two teams is not talking to each other, so that's why you need to bridge the gap by giving them a framework or a tool that will be able to make them work together so that they can build things properly. Another thing when it comes to strategy is that when it comes to digital transformation, the environment or the businesses are actually using different innovations or in different environments. So that's why um, containers, Lambda functions, Kubernetes is now available for us to be used. So when it comes to providing protection, of course, you will not do all stuff to provide protection for these types of environment. You need to transform as well your security tools. So that's why all of these things that I have shared with you earlier is that it is running on our DevOps. So in our development and operations, they are developers and applicate or operations. They are actually been used so that they have a good strategy and controls when it comes to our cloud security. Now let me go again for another demo, if that's okay with you. I will run again a demo for you. Okay. Let me run my okay. So at this particular demo, I will you can see earlier that my attack has been launched on that demo. So at this demo, I will set my security tools on my cloud environment. So I will set my workload security to do a protection for my server. So at this point, I have an IPS or intrusion prevention, but it is set on detect. So that's why I will set it on prevent. Okay. So I will save that, check if that is already applied. Then I will try to do a demo again. Okay. So for this one, I will uh, run again the demo. At this time, the attack has been blocked. Okay. So when it comes to these kinds of environment, we can tell that you need to have security on those types of attack. Let me go back here to my slides. So what happened on that particular demo is I applied a virtual patching. So Again, we don't install a patch, particular patch on that server, so that it can be protected with log4j. But I actually applied an IPS rule or our intrusion to that machine so that it can be protected on a network layer. So once the attackers or the bad guy try to penetrate that machine or like to use that log4j, it is already blocked. Okay. Now let me so you've seen that there's a demo, you've seen that there are protection. Now let me just walk you through on the visibility. So with this demo that I have, so you need to have visibility. What happened? So using the platform of Trend Micro, what they call the Trend Micro version 1, so you're able to see detections on our cloud workload when it comes to techniques and other instances. You can see here, there are tactics and techniques identified. You can also see here the detection filters. You can actually see here that we have run and it has identified that there is a log4j or reverse shell that happened on that machine. So you can also see here more information about the server. So that's what we call visibility. Another thing is when it comes to containers, we have run the crypto mining attack on that container. So you can see also here that there's an execution for that particular server, and there is a log4j as well detection for that server that we have attacked, for that container that we have attacked. And then for that container as well, you can see that there are responses that we can use using the Vision 1. You can actually isolate the endpoint if you would like to isolate it because you think that that is a compromised server. You can actually apply some rules, like say, for example, you would like to apply security rule sets or security access rules for this server. So eventually, you only have some users to have an access to that server or for that application. And then another thing when it comes to crypto mining, I actually shared with you earlier that it has been blocked. So you can see here on the crypto mining that it has been, you can see here the processes that has been run on that crypto mining attack. And another thing, if the organization is using serverless security, so we also have security for your serverless. So if in case that they use the serverless environment, we have a solution for you to be able to have security on those functions. You can actually see here the MITRE attacks matrix mapping. So that's why something that you would like to see as well on production when it comes to security. Okay. And when it comes to platform, we know developers know what they want, and developers know what is the particular platform that they will use for them to be able to build the applications that they want. So because of that, Trend Micro, if any environment that you have security for you. If you're using EC2 instances, we have our workload security. If you're using Kubernetes clusters, we have our container security. If you're using Lambda or the serverless, we have our application security. If you're using file storage, we also have security for the S3 buckets, or what they call the file storage security. For network, we also have security for that. And of course, to identify the misconfiguration, we have also the conformity. So all of these environment that you have, Trend Micro has a solution for you. So whatever that you want to use, like this one, whatever that you want to use on your environment, like compute application, we have security for you on this services that you will use on cloud. Okay. And for the last words, the final words that I have. So when it comes to businesses, we actually should need to shift our mindset when it comes to security. Most of the time when we are thinking of security, we think that security is just some things that slow us down, or let's say it's just the thing that stops us from innovating. But actually, security is should be an enabler when it comes to the organizations. Actually, security should give businesses the confidence to use whatever technology that they want. May it be a server, may it be a cloud workload, may it be an application storage, or even serverless, to whatever platform that they would like to use, even in on-premise or even or on cloud. So because of that, I'm ending this and allow Trend Micro to to help you on this environment. So for that, thank you for listening again and have a great day.